you like to come closer, please? I'll point out a few features of the nose to start with. The first thing you'll see is the refueling probe, and during the Falklands conflict, although this aircraft was not involved, that was one of the reasons why the Vulcan could be used, because we had to do 8,000 mile round return trip from Ascension to Falklands and back, and the Vulcan had to have 6 refueling sorties, which was done by 11 Victor tankers. So Victors would refuel Victors, they'd go home, and the Vulcan would get a bit, then Victors would refuel Victors and give the Vulcan, and then they would go until there was just one Vulcan and one Victor tanker left. So that was probably the Vulcan's finest hour. To actually do bombing, there's what's called NBS, which is Navigational Bombing System, which relies on a large radar. That radar used to live in that dome at the front, which is made out of fiberglass, so that the microwaves can pass through and get signals back to the aircraft. We'll go to the entrance door. We have 2 pilots on ejector seats at the top, and below them at the back there are 3 engineers, and they face that way, so they're flying backwards. If there is an incident, the pilots eject out, but the rear crew, this is their escape route. They literally slide down there and then open the parachutes. If she's coming in to land, we have a slight problem. They'll hit that nose wheel. So what they're taught is to hold this ram and swing out. So they miss those wheels by about 14 inches. They'll miss those wheels as well. Fortunately, that never had to actually happen. 18 wheels. Those tyres are about 150 psi. Those tyres are about 250 psi. So you need a little bit more than your car pump to inflate them. They're actually inflated with nitrogen, which is a more stable gas, and it's not flammable. We'll want to go round through here. You can have a quick look up as you go past. We'll collect under that wing. You want to take a photo? As you obviously can see, 4 jet engines to either side. Those are Rolls-Royce Olympus 20201s, which is the forerunner of the Olympus engine used on Concorde. Each one develops a thrust of around about 16,400 pounds. They're rated at 17,000 pounds, but we've down rated them slightly. That is roughly equivalent on each engine to a Formula 1 race compressed into one engine, about 24,000 horsepower. So it's a pretty powerful machine. This may sound strange, but the aircraft relies on electricity to fly. All the flying controls, that's the rudder and the elevators and ailerons, which in a Vulcan we call elevons because they operate together, they're all powered by a small hydraulic pump which is run by a little electric motor. So we need to generate lots of electricity in the aircraft to operate those. To that extent, each engine has its own generator, which is a 40 kVA alternator. So she's developing round about 130 kilowatts of power, enough to power about 12 houses when she's flying. And the other reason for that power is that in the tail there used to live a lot of power supply units that feed various aerials throughout the aircraft with power to send out jamming signals to jam ground radar, so that the Vulcan could fly to its target without being detected. If we have a problem with electrical power, there are two things on the aircraft that will help us, and that's a dog and a rat. The dog, if you want to pop this side, just mind your head on there. You see that exhaust port there? That's a Rover gas turbine engine. So we've actually got 5 jet engines on the aircraft. That's an auxiliary airborne power supply unit, and that also has an alternator on to give us emergency power up to 30,000 feet. Above 30,000 feet we have a RAT, and RAT stands for Ram Air Turbine. So out of the port wing a big fan will drop out, and that's got an alternator on it, so that gives us another supply of emergency power, and that RAT is just enough to keep the aircraft flying until they can bring the systems back on again. The bomb bay doors, the undercarriage and the brakes all work hydraulically. If we have a hydraulic problem, there's an auxiliary pump that will operate the brakes and the bomb bay doors, but won't bring the undercarriage down. But we can bring the undercarriage down by blasting high pressure nitrogen into the system, and that will drop the undercarriage, but it's a one-shot operation. You can't do it twice. We'll go to the front of the bomb bay now. Yeah, perfectly serviceable at that. We had one tyre like that. We sent it back to Dunlop, and they took a cross section through it and sent it back to us and said, "Look, you're nowhere near the actual strength members in the tyre."
So when do you know when it does need replacing?
When all that's completely gone.
Oh, it's completely bald.
They've still got to wear it completely flat. So although they look very tatty, they're perfectly good condition.
Different rules for cars and planes.
Yeah, we don't have policemen on runways. Last move on Thursday when it flew in. Not effectively, this in reality is why this aircraft was built. In 1947, Britain found itself in a position where it decided that it needed to develop its own atomic weapon. So if we were going to build an atomic weapon, we needed something to carry it to its target. And so tenders went out to aircraft companies asking for them to design an aeroplane which could be capable of flying at 50,000 feet at 500 knots, carry a special payload of a weight of 10,000 pounds, and that was Britain's first atomic bomb, codenamed Blue Danube. They always gave military items a code name, which was generally a colour followed by a noun. So in atomic bomb weapons it was Blue Danube, Violet Club, Red Beard, Yellow Sun. These were bigger and bigger bombs that the Vulcan could carry. What's the auxiliary hydraulic system? We've got oxygen in the black bottles to breathe in. fire extinguishers either side for the engines. We carry a lot of fuel on board, 9,300 gallons, and that's stored in 14 fuel tanks, 5 in that wing, 5 in that wing, and 4 behind that pressure bulkhead. The overall weight of the aircraft when fully loaded with fuel land bombs is just over 91 tonnes, 205,000 pounds. The fuel itself weighs 74,000 pounds. So in reality, the fuel weighs more than a fully loaded Lancaster. So what? We're looking at about £8 per gallon, 9,300. So it's a lot of money. I'm not doing the maths. Just going to check the time for me. Right. Right. The main atom bomb. You'll see the lugs with holes in. So on that side, they are the spores of the bomb. So a hydraulic lift is anchored in that position. It lifts the bomb up. It anchors into attachment. It's locked in place. And then it can be dropped by operation. As well as one nuclear weapon, she can carry 21 £1,000 conventional cast iron bombs, which are the types of bomb which were dropped on Port Stanley runway by our chief pilot Martin Withers. He was the guy that dropped the first bombs on the runway in 1982. Right, that was a very brief description of the aircraft. We're on a tight schedule, so if you want to have a wander around, take more photographs. If you see anything that you don't quite follow, come and ask me and I'll try and answer it. So, yes,
how was that done?
they just put a placard across that bomb bay door.